Ladies and gentlemen, big hell news.
Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to today's episode of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chibi.
Kia ora, Pat. It's
How are
it is Wednesday, Mojo.
1 week till Santa comes. We were having I don't know if you were involved in this, but when I talked to Sam Cedar, they were having a debate on how many days it was away from a certain day. And when I was a kid growing up, it was always sleeps. That would be the way you do it. So it's what's today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So yeah, 7 sleeps till Santa. That's what it is at the moment. It's an easy way of doing it. Of course, unless you're an insomniac, that makes it more difficult. But for most of us, 7 sleeps till Santa. So, how's today? Busy?
Yeah, it is. It has been a challenging day of frustrations for me, not necessarily through my work day, but just stuff around it. People in Facebook groups and I'm going to sound fucking boomer as shit.
Okay,
here.
boomer.
Regional Facebook groups and moderators, tin pot dictators with a little bit of power.
Dunedin News. Have you been in Dunedin News again, have you?
No, because I'm banned.
Okay.
But I commented the most innocent little comment in the local EV group of like going, oh, hey, if this is your car, it's finished charging. If you could move it, that would be appreciated, please.
Yeah.
And then the moderator of that group came in and just dropped a whole lot of patronizing, unhelpful suggestions. It's like, oh, if you're after a free charger, you could drive across town to the warehouse or you can charge your car at home. Did you know that? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm just asking this person to move from this charger. And then just everybody seemed to have a dumb opinion.
Well, can I just offer something tonight? I mean, kudos be given to someone who's given themselves a new name. The hard-on collider.
Yes, much better.
Much better.
Much better.
Much better. Much better. So we're all happy now. We weren't happy before, now we are, because we can see that. Yeah, busy old day.
We're grown-ups.
Oh, wow. Ish. But I'm wearing a cloud with a little blooming scarf on. That's not very grown-up gear, is it? A smiley cloud. I spent today doing a little bit of packaging and a little bit of postaging. So basically, New Zealand Post says if you get your product in the post, not like overnight courier, but the post, by today, the 18th, then it will get to you by Christmas. Now, the ladies in the post shop were like, but New Zealand Post says officially, if it's in the post by today, it should get to you by Christmas. So everybody who ordered merch, basically up until Sue and Paul bought some this afternoon. So Sue was at around about 2 p.m. and Paul was around about 4:30. Everybody else, according to New Zealand Post, you should probably see your merch by Christmas Day. Now, remember, we are not making that guarantee. That's why we cut off kind of a week ago to sort of guarantee delivery before Christmas. But according to New Zealand Post, perhaps everyone will get their stuff up until to their merch. There you go. Look, I can see people saying they got their, when they say they got their tracking number, that one there. Woo, you just stole it off me and I stole it off you. Woo, I got my tracking number today for my FUFU shirt. Yes, Ella, I sent that to you because that's part of my job now as I pack and I send out merch. I find it quite, I was going to say palliative. That sounds very, very end of life. What's the right word? Cathartic.
Yeah, palliative is definitely.
Yeah. It's not very palliative. Yeah, cathartic because I like printing. One of the things when I used to work in school, I used to love writing on the whiteboard. So I've written all of those addresses, even the one I wrote today where I spelt street STRETT. That was written by me, and I didn't correct it because I went, nah, they'll find it. And remember, everyone who buys merch this week, we throw a stick in there as well, just a bit of a thank you, a sticker. That was not a stick. Nala would be upset if I threw her stick in, but a sticker in there. And there'll be a bunch of you who receive your packages that will see that the bags have been cut open and then resealed. And that's because I forgot to put stickers in. But they're all in there now because I then cut them open, put a sticker in, and then sellotape them back up. So you lucky 6 or 7 people will get like it's been handled a couple of times. Yes, row. Dyslexics rule are a KO. See, I saw that as okay. I nearly couldn't do it. That's like the DNA, the National Dyslexics Association. Now I can say that because I'm dyslexic, so it's not a hate crime. If I was talking about gingers, hate crime. So the shop is still open and the shop will remain open. And what I'll do at the end of this week is I will do a full stock take and we will put up on the store the product we have. So we're not currently doing those kind of pre-order drops. We're actually selling merch that we have. So by the end of this week, hoodies are going to come back because I need to go and do a full stock take, find out how many, like I wouldn't want to have like no 2XL orange hoodies and then someone orders one because then we're kind of screwed because it'll be too late to get them from Cloak and I won't be. So I'm going to go do a stock take and we're going to put hoodies back up there as well. At the moment, t-shirts are up there, good to go. Stickers are up there, good to go. And by the end of the week, hoodies will be back as well. It will all be in limited supply because, like I said, we've ordered the merch and then you purchase like a real grown-up retail store, Chewy. And remember, if you purchased merch before, I guess, the end of the show on Thursday, Friday, I will definitely throw a free little sticker in there as well, one of these stickers. I'm not guaranteeing which one it was. I think I put a few BHNs in this time, a few buffers, and maybe a few Chewies. Nicky No Boats, we basically ran out of stickers, so I printed another 100 today. So maybe I'll throw some Nicky No Boats in the merch that's bought today and tomorrow. And we are getting it. It was very nice, Chewy, to get an order that came in this morning onto a post shop this afternoon. It's kind of nice. Yeah, kind of nice. Anyway, that's all about that. That's what I'm going to say.
I saw a really nice story from a local creator that I'm wearing at the moment, the Pepper Raccoon, saying she did a nice thing. Like she's been firing parcels out her door with mad abandon as they head into Christmas, and she just she left a box of chocolates out for the courier driver. Apparently, almost made him cry. So you know the couriers are hustling at this time of year. So hopefully everybody can be fucking chill and appreciative towards those guys. Yeah. Because it's so many more parcels now.
Yeah.
Like everybody's buying individually and shipping to the home and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I know they're working hard. Yeah,
for sure. Beba says, I'm not late. You are, shifty eyes. I guess that's that sideways thing going on. And the greatest logo there has ever been for Trek. Nut.
Hey, Danger Mouse.
Yeah, hey. Danger Mouse. My kids thank you for Dad's sticker Christmas pack. You are more than welcome. Yeah, I wouldn't, well, maybe I could. I was about to say, maybe I could put an overnight courier delivery charge on there as well if anyone wanted something for Christmas. Why don't we do this? If anyone wants something for Christmas in particular, you'll probably be best to contact us through the email right now. I'm not actually guaranteeing that, but if like several people said, oh, we really want to have a t-shirt for a present or whatever, we could still do overnight couriers, but I'll need to find out the prices for those. But I don't know. The ladies at the post shop know me now. Walked in today. They were like, do you need any more stickers? I'm like, no, I'm taking care of just doing a drop off today. All right. So there you go. All right, so that's up and running. BHNshop.nz. Big thanks as well. We had a bit of a talk about the old How's Your Father last night, the Patreon, the patronage, and yeah, a few more people signed up, and we appreciate that. As we've said, the Patreon is the thing that gets us through our break and gives us a chance to stop for a while. I don't want to say that to patrons who then decide not to be patrons because you don't want us to stop. We are stopping, but I was thinking today, just to give you a heads up, I will be assembling the best ofs sort of over the weekend and in the lead up to Christmas days. And if you want to be in the credits, because all the patrons are in the credits, you'll need to become a patron before Thursday, Friday. Because obviously once I start making the best ofs, there will be a credit put at the end. But if I make it now for January the 3rd, it's going to have the tail of today. So I'm not doing this as a way to kind of go, hey, so get in early. I'm just being honest with you, and like being one of the things we do is we put you on our credits. And if you want to be on the credits through that period, you need to be a paid patron before it. So patreon.com/Big Hero News. Anyway, Chewy, anything else going on?
Yeah. So, when every kid that owned a hoodie was hot wiring Toyota Aquas and doing ram raids.
Oh, yeah. Every second day.
Who-
I think I did it 4 times in my sleep by accident as well.
Whose fault was that?
Labour
Just trying
bad.
to remember. It was Labour's fault, wasn't it?
Labour bad.
If ram raids happened under a government,
Yeah.
the opposition got to say that it was the government's fault that it was
Yeah, but they've all gone
happening.
away. I
I'm
heard
very-
Luxon even say that last week, that all the ram raids have disappeared.
Oh, he said that
There are
last
none.
week, did he?
Yeah. Oh, he said
Did he
they've dropped
say
by a
that
certain
last week?
percentage, but yeah.
Oh. That's today, Pat. That's this morning.
Oh.
Youths
So
who have
so
youths,
National
who have
bad?
national bad.
Okay.
Mark Mitchell must resign. The foot patrol that walks from the police station to the coffee shop in the Meridian, suspiciously around the same time every day, did not stop local youths who stole a car and ram raided one of Dunedin's 3 identical malls at 3:40 a.m. this morning. They damaged a sushi joint and obviously destroyed the doors and stole nothing. They later ram raided a vape store out in South Dunedin.
But they're
This is
obviously agents for conservatism, because if you're going to ram any store, you'd ram one of those woke sushi stores, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be the place to hit?
That is a very good point. I will pass that on to the local constabulary.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe they're not looking for wokesters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was a very local sort of thing that you can go like you put this at the heels of the government. All crime that happens while the government is at the wheel, it's their fault. So there you go,
Yep.
Mark Mitchell. You haven't stopped this. There's not
Who?
enough boot camps in the world.
Sorry, who? What
Oh,
was that
sorry, I
name?
said it too quickly.
Yeah.
Mark Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you. I know who you're talking about now. I wasn't quite clear who that other fellow was that you mentioned. But
I mean,
yeah.
I'm making a very silly point here, but like, and someone on a local Facebook group said, "How is it the government's fault?" It's not the government's fault. That's not what I'm saying. But that's what the party that is the government.
Mm.
That's the standard that they set.
That's what we say. Your standard. Hold you to your
Because they're
standard.
incredibly short-sighted.
Yep.
And we're not expecting the Uno Reverso card when it comes to this sort of stuff. That Labor couldn't stop all crime, so it's Labor's fault.
Yep.
And to date, the party of law and order hasn't stopped crime either. Their big idea boot camps is a failure. And yeah, it's not changed. It's not changed.
A little tangent before we start the show. I told you this story, Chewy, but I haven't said it publicly because I didn't want to embarrass Karen, but Karen's outed herself. Pat delivered mine personally, but I called him Chewy. So sorry, Pat.
We were talking about that last night after the show.
Yeah, I'll tell the story publicly now.
Oh, fantastic.
No, I just want to know, is Karen so sorry that she called me you? In other words, is that an insult to you? Or is she so sorry that I was referenced as Chewy, so it's an insult to me? I wonder which way it goes. So, but I delivered. I do that if I
be offended.
Yeah, I think so. I do sometimes drop off stuff around Dunedin if I happen to be going there. Where was Karen? I think Karen was on the way out to Port Chalmers, and I was going out there for something. I can't remember. So I dropped it off, and I said, "Oh, what's in it?" Even though we packed them, I mean, you can't remember which. And she said, "I got one of those where you were you're blowing your stack." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm blowing. Okay, cool. Yep, just cool." I didn't want to embarrass anyone. It was fine. And then I was leaving. She said, "Say hey to Pat." So we're interchangeable, Chewy. That's kind of nice. So when I'm away on my honeymoon, you can sit on this side and put Pat, and they'll all think that I'm still here. So it's perfect. So tonight's show, people. Manju, kia ora, Pat and Chewy. I've been a regular listener to your thorough, thought-provoking podcast. It's 2022. This is my first ever super chat to say a huge thank you for taking a political geek like me to my happy place.
Oh, thank you. That's
Very nice.
kind of you.
And I can see David's done something in my email. It's confirmed. I'm not sure how I feel about this message, though. I just upgraded to super patron. Merry Christmas, babes.
Yeah,
Are
that's the recognition I want.
Is that one you want?
It's nice to be recognized in my own lifetime.
Babes.
I mean, that's the first time. This is the first time for everything.
So tonight's show, there's actually I think it would be a really fascinating. Oh, first of all, want to send out our absolute best to Debbie Narewa-Packer. I don't know if I can say this publicly or not, but I'll say it anyway. Got COVID. Got it today on her way home from, I was speaking to the Māori Party, and as I was speaking to them, she was like, yeah, Debbie's packing up and going home. Let's see if she can still come on. I'm like, no. Go home, rest. It's fine. It's not a problem. So I did a bit of ringing around to get another fan fave, but I kind of ran out of time, to be honest. So a huge good vibes out to Debbie Narewa-Packer. Get better. Rest up. And I'm sure it'll be less than a week, and I'm sure you'll be fine for Christmas Day. So if you're watching Debbie or anyone that knows her, pass on our best. Get well. If I was going to have a guest on tonight, this conversation around the Lake Ellis survivors to get $150,000 each in redress is really interesting. No, I don't want to make it sound like it's an easy topic to talk about. Difficult, hard, horrible, but interesting what the government's done. Interesting that they've gone down this line of calling it torture. Erica Stanford today said this is I think we're the first country in the world to ever acknowledge it for kids like this. But there's other things in there, like if the person's passed away, family can't get that redress, which is horseshit in my opinion. Like if you've through being tortured as a child, then had a life which was less than because of the impact, and that's therefore impacted your family, and that person's passed, to go, sorry family. I think that's horseshit, because if you got some money or some redress and then you passed away, then there'd be something to hand on to your kids and that kind of stuff. But so I think that's a bad move. I guess though, Chewy, not to try and give this government a pass in any shape, way, form whatsoever, but there is always going to be a line somewhere where not everyone's going to be satisfied. I don't think that line is far enough down the financial redress point. They've chosen to point there, but it's still an interesting conversation overall. So we'll have a bit of a look at that. Also, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but at Christmas time we do have to acknowledge the Christmas Grinch as a very real person. So the melting pile of pancake batter will be on tonight for a little bit as he talks with David Seymour. And David Seymour made it very clear that the IRD is a criminal entity. That's a minister of the Crown, the future Deputy Prime Minister, wanted to make sure he sent this message to listeners of the Futform, that the IRD is a criminal entity. We'll play you the audio in case anyone's going, what?
Holy shit.
Yeah. And also there's one other thing and I forget it. Oh, we're going to have a listen a little bit to some Nicola Willis talking about HYEFU on RNZ this morning. And look, to be honest with you, tomorrow, this is sort of our last newsy type show for the year. So get your comments and stuff in there. We are here tomorrow night, but we are hosting all four of us. So, our lovely newbies and Emily and Magenta will be joining us at 9. If Chewy sets his alarm, he might come as well. We'll confirm that tomorrow night. And I'll probably be here. And sorry, I was just clicking your laugh there, and your snorty laugh. And we, there will be news tomorrow because GDP numbers are coming out tomorrow and stuff. But we're really going to use it as a bit of a wrap up and a wind up for the year. We'll open up Discord and have a bit of fun, and just say see you later. And then remember Friday night, which I still haven't planned yet, and I haven't informed everybody of the exact details. There's a brand new podcast starting right here called The Leftist Collective. And on the show that night, we have got Spiderhoof, and we have got Calvin Morgan, and we have got Chewy, and we've got me. We have got Paul Barlow coming in for a period of time, potentially Clint Smith coming in for a period of time. And the idea of it is to get leftist, left-leaning, progressive, however you want to word them, commentators and content makers together in a confined space. A part of it is for crossover, so people discover other people discover us, but mostly it's also a place where we can come together and kind of shine a light from our area of expertise. So you think about Spider Hoof, most people probably think about TikTok. That's probably the first thing you think about. So what we'll be telling Spider Hoof is, what is your biggest TikTok story this year? Like, what's got the most views? Let you bring that along and let's talk about it. Calvin's pretty big on Twitter. What's been your biggest Twitter story? Bring that along and we'll talk about it. I'll be saying to Clint and I'll be saying to Paul Barlow the same sort of thing. Come along with your biggest story. And it doesn't matter if some of them are the same. And for us, it'll be the same. Probably, although we're on lots of platforms, we'll probably stick with what's been the biggest story for us on YouTube. Yeah, I can see Mr. Anderson, Mountain Tui. Absolutely. Just so you know, there are probably 5 or 6 other people that are also going to be involved with this next year, but obviously only us lunatics would start this up this close to Christmas, so other people are unavailable for tomorrow night. I think that's all, Chewy. Should we just, is there a couple more chats here? Let's just knock them out, so in case we get talking.
Yep.
Kiwi Bird says, I blame the Atlas Network for Debbie's COVID. And Peter Syme looking forward to the lefty Voltron. Which was Voltron? Was Voltron the one that a whole bunch of ones came together and it made a big Voltron? Was that Voltron?
Yeah, they were cool lions and stuff.
Was that wasn't Let Our Powers Combine? That was Captain Planet, eh? Captain Planet. Let
Correct.
Our powers combine. Was that right?
Yes.
Sorry. Showing our age. Okay, team. I think we'll start with Nikki No Boats. Oh, I printed another 100 of those stickers today, team. So if you're interested, let's have a look and a listen to Nikki No Boats on RNZ this morning. It's not a long chat, but Corin Dann has an interesting sort of a few stabs in there as to, but hang on, because this is the thing that we were talking about with Craig, right? But hang on, you guys made predictions and the predictions were wrong. Don't you have to at least own that? No. Like, we understand that you, that there were some things that have come up in the last few months that you didn't forecast, but because you did forecast incorrectly, do you not have to at least own your incorrect forecast? No, nothing like that, Chewy. Let's have a listen to Corin Dann with Nikki No Boats.
Now, the Treasury's half-year economic fiscal update is, well, universally being described as bad news. The only difference seems to be over who's responsible and what's to be done about it.
National is saying Labor bad. Everyone else is saying Nikki No Boats.
The update showed slower than expected economic growth, lower than hoped tax revenues, and tighter than wanted room for government spending. Finance Minister Nicola Willis joins us now. Kia ora, good morning.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, good morning, Corin.
You knew at the election and afterwards that the books were in bad shape, that there was uncertainty around the finances. Economists were warning you about that, yet you persevered with tax cuts. Was that the wrong decision?
Great question. Off the bat, out of the park.
Yeah. Smashed
Great
it.
question. This is a decision you made, Nicola. Are you going to say it was wrong or are you going to own it?
No, that was the right decision because we did so within an overall package of spending that was far less than the last government had set out. In fact, we delivered $23 billion worth of savings, so we were responsible about it. Since the election, Treasury have...
Just reminding you, Chewy, we were responsible about the tax cuts that they borrowed for whilst complaining about how much Labor borrowed for. So them being responsible means we borrowed, good, they borrowed, bad. Sorry, you were saying?
That literally every financial expert was like, this is a bad idea. This is inflationary. What the hell are you doing?
Yep.
That it was all linchpinned on a whole bunch of other things happening that never happened.
Yeah, 100%.
changed some of their forecast assumptions. One, they've said that the recession that we're currently in started earlier, has been deeper and has persisted longer than they had imagined. And second, they have revised Therefore,
But why? Why, Nicola? Why is it lasting longer? Why is it deeper? Any responsibility for you guys? Nope.
forward-looking productivity assumptions based on what's actually happened over the past few years. So I can't control their forecast assumptions. I can control our response.
Well, you
and
took
we
a
are doing
risk,
the right thing.
and you were warned. There were
Bingo.
economists like Michael Riddell, former
Bingo.
Reserve Bank economist, saying back in March 2024 that the books were in an uncertain state, not to go ahead with tax cuts because of that
Bingo.
uncertainty. You took that risk. Do you not have to bear some responsibility for that?
What I take responsibility for is the fiscal
Let me tell you this, Chewy. She is a far better politician than Christopher Luxon. This is a bullshit answer that she gives. I've just come back 15 seconds, so we'll get it again. This is a bullshit answer that she gives, but it is a very clever piece of political maneuvering. She doesn't go, what I would say to you is, as she thinks about it, she's like, bam. Remember prior to the election, we were going, Nicola Willis is actually from the left, the kind of the scary leader for the future because she seems competent. You just listen to how smooth this response is. She takes no responsibility. She doesn't acknowledge it and she goes straight to her talking point. Horrible, wrong, dumb point, but executed like a professional.
March 2024 that the books were in an uncertain state, not to go ahead with tax cuts because of that uncertainty. You took that risk. Do you not have to bear some responsibility for that?
What I take responsibility for is the fiscal consolidation that needs to occur in New Zealand. And our government has been very consistent in saying that this is a time for fiscal discipline. We have been making savings that other parties in Parliament have just about every day attacked and said are the wrong thing to be doing.
Correct. Correct. Like ripping the heart out of the health system. Correct. Wrong cuts to be doing. Well, yes, correct. Stopping building houses at Kainga Order. Correct. Wrong thing to be cutting. Yes, they've been saying they're wrong. But did you see what I mean? That was smooth, man.
Yeah.
You give her points for that, for the political answer, the way she did it.
I agree. I think it's the English. I think it's also her experience as a lobbyist.
Yeah, true.
Remember, she was a spokesperson for Fonterra for many years.
Yep, lobbyist at New Zealand Initiative as well.
Tobacco, spokesperson background. And that's what you say. Like this is why Hipkins made such a devastating shot at Luxon and Willis in the House today. I don't know if you saw this. Like, for anyone that criticizes Hipkins for being a little bit soft and needs a little bit of mongrel, definitely watch the clips from Question Time today. Hipkins asked Luxon, what do you think Nicola's going to replace first next year, the ferries or you?
That's great.
Just
and then you go, what I would say to you is fiscal conservative and glitch. Is that what he did?
Yeah. I tell you what, there's a lot of MPs on our side of the argument that were dropping bombs like it was Guernica in the House tonight. So definitely hunt those out. But yeah, no, look, you're right. She's a better politician.
Yeah.
She's a terrible economist.
Yeah.
Terrible finance minister. Absolutely wrong in every way. But that is an answer that would play well with people that just don't know.
Yeah. Yep. All right. We'll keep going.
We're also working very hard to drive growth across the economy because we recognise that for New Zealand to get out of this very challenging set of books, we are going to have to grow faster. And that's why we're doing things like the fast track legislation, looking at new ways of delivering infrastructure, making sure our science system is more commercial.
Is there any consideration of, for example, delaying the full implementation of the landlord tax?
No.
Are there any other programs that you had planned that you may now can because of the situation the books are in?
Well, what we are doing is...
See, another one, divert. She's not going to answer your question, Corin. She's not going to say what we're going to can. She's going to tell you what they are going to do. You know, we can pull this apart just like we could pull it apart from Luxon saying it. But I guess what what I would say to you is, Whānau, she's a lot better than Luxon at this game. and she's a lot more confident, and she's straight in there. And if she was the leader of National, I would be more worried about National than Christopher Luxon, personally. Oh, I pushed play, didn't go. Let's go again.
Working very carefully to put together a program of savings so that we can ensure that next year's budget fits within very constrained operating allowances. What that means is we want to ensure that there is additional funding for health, for education, for police, for defence, to provide redress for those survivors of abuse in state care. And in order to fund that, we will have to find savings across other parts of government, and we are on a clear program to deliver those savings.
$6 billion worth of savings, budget, as David Seymour seems to think you need?
Oh.
Well, we haven't actually set a figure on that yet because it will depend which spending commitments we make and at what level.
But you got to also give her props. She goes straight to the survivors of state care. I mean, who's going to say, "Oh no, just don't worry about those"? So it's an ugly sum total, but it's a clever. She's got her Christmas present and she's wrapped it pretty well. The contents is like eating a pile of shit, but she wraps it better than Luxon does.
She's using the fact that they're the government at the helm for the end of that abuse and state care program.
Yep.
He is throwing the fact that they're announcing financial redress and they're using it as a fucking distraction.
Yep.
Can I just say how utterly reprehensible that is? To bring that up in this discussion. Like, it's a pot of money, don't get me wrong. But it is a tiny pot of money in comparison to all of these other things we're talking about. Nicola Willis, how fucking dare you? How dare you throw Lake Ellis as a fig leaf over the disgusting shit show of you charging damn the torpedoes speed against all economic practice and advice that austerity doesn't work, and you're sitting here going, I don't know what's happened to our tax take. It's blown all of our plans out of the water. Who could have predicted this? We gave money to the poor abused children. We're ignoring the children now. We're taking funding away from kids that suffer under trauma now. Kids that have suffered sexual abuse. We're taking money away from those kids, but we're giving. Look, I'm a good person. Like, there's so much to unpack there, but her using that. It's like, of course we've got to find money for this because what they did is horrible.
Everyone would support that.
No one is questioning that.
Yeah.
You could have fucking doubled it. We wouldn't have criticised it. We'll criticise everything else and we'll criticise you now for bringing it up.
Kiwi Boudica is what you're saying. Nikki is hiding behind victims of state abuse.
Disgusting.
And Mr. Arvids just says, why is it challenging, Nicola? Honk. This has got a couple of minutes. Let's just get to the end of it, I think. Or maybe not before the end, but let's just see what comes up next.
Now, the Treasury's half-year economic fiscal update is, universally being described as bad news.
I jumped back to the start. Don't know why I did that. Oh, well. I guess that's the end of it for us.
Thanks, RNZ.
Thanks, RNZ. Brilliant. Yeah, and like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm sure people aren't reading into this, what I'm about to say, don't get me wrong on. Not saying it's good, not saying she's a good person, not saying she's clever. I'm just saying that.
Or correct.
Do you know what? I don't want to say it in a horrible way, but sports analogy, Chewy, you know me. Christian Cullen, one of the greatest rugby minds and players we've ever had. It's been said, and look, I love Christian Cullen. He was sort of my era. So nothing against him, but it said he wasn't the smartest tool in the shed, the sharpest tool in the shed. But what he did well, he did at a literal worldwide level. Like, he was the best fullback in the world. And so what I'm saying is that these people who are incompetent in some areas, they can do one thing really well. And the one thing really well she's seems to be able to do is the talking game within politics. She's very good at it. She's very good at it.
We had someone on the show last night that's very good about talking about politics and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Nikki Schwarbrick.
Yes.
The difference is, I think, when did I call her Nikki Schwarbrick?
You just did.
That's an unholy abomination. I withdraw and apologize.
Okay.
Chloe Schwarbrick. She's very good at talking and explaining terms, and it comes from a place that I 100% believe her authenticity and her belief in what she's talking about.
Yep.
It's authentic. I hear Nikki, again, very good at talking, very good at doing a politics,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all bullshit. Does she believe it? I don't know. I don't understand here anybody with even a passing understanding of economics could not understand by following the steps of austerity step by step as she has, that it would deliver exactly the same result that it has everywhere it's been trialed, and then sit there a year later going, well, look, nobody could have predicted this.
Because everyone did.
Can we just get, like, this is why people hate politicians, man. Like, yeah, she's better at answering a question with better lies than Luxem can. What's better? There isn't.
But what that does is it makes her seem more competent. And even though the policies might be exactly the same, if not worse than what Luxon's trying to do, because she seems competent, she seems more plausible, people will believe her to be a more genuine, a human being to lead them somewhere. So that's what it is. This is this game that you play in politics. I mean you're basically a salesman, aren't you?
I've seen her talk on things that she clearly cares about. I've seen actual human emotion out of Willis. And then when she's in these positions, in these sort of more adversarial interviews, she kind of puts on this hardened shell, like a hermit crab. And you get this hard, like she's biting off the end of her words. She's speaking like a primary school teacher, and you've done something very bad. And it's not authentic all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and I get being a politician at times means putting on a mask. It's a performance and that sort of thing. And I think this is what turns people off.
I think about the secondhand Corolla. Just sometimes. Good,
workshop,
reliable, secondhand Corolla. The intonation, it's right. But that there was adversarial. That was like bang, 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 bang. In those instances, she seems to be a lot stronger. But maybe what we should do now is move on to the actual story that we're shocked that she's hiding behind, and we'll get onto that. We'll do that in a sec. But first of all, why don't we just go to Mr. Arvids, who says Nikki no soul, and the proletariat says I can't pay victims of government-sanctioned torture when struggling landlords need their bank accounts topped up, one-term government. And then Peter says, I think the odds of a Nat spill in 25 are 50-50. Yeah. Okay, so let's go and have a look at Erica Stanford, talking about what they're going to do with the survivors of, we call it state-sponsored torture. Is that the official phrase we're using? Let's have a look.
State sanction.
The government has confirmed financial redress for those tortured as children at the Lake Ellis psychiatric facility. But not all survivors are happy. Survivors can opt to receive an expedited payment of $150,000 or pursue an individual process where each claim is independently assessed. It follows the inquiry into abuse and care, which found...
Yeah, quietly. Trigger warnings. There's some reenactments here. Should have said that at the start, but just so you're aware, they are reenactments. And just in case you need to turn down or turn away for 30 seconds.
Many of the 362 children who went through Lake Ellis in the 1970s were tortured. Minister Erica Stanford acknowledged the many survivors who have already died, whose families cannot claim redress on their behalf.
Yeah, that's horseshit. That's what I'm saying. That's horseshit. Like if your
it
mother,
doesn't
your
feel
father No, because like I said, if you've been impacted by this torture, we're using that word now officially because it's what they're saying, government included, as a child, then impacted your childhood because that was your father or mother, then you are a victim of this too. Might not have been directly electric shocks to your body, but there is no debate that as a child of a survivor, you are also a victim of this system. So that's horseshit. I don't care what you say. As we said earlier, there has to be a line somewhere where some people aren't going to be happy, but that line is too far on the we're not giving you some side, in my opinion.
And it was a really tough decision. It wasn't an easy one to come to. There are some people who've passed away in the last 3 months. There are some people who passed away in the last 5 years. There are some people who passed away soon after they left Lake Ellis.
Yeah, those were the ones that killed themselves. I mean, you're talking about children passing away not long after they left Lake Ellis.
Yeah.
Those will be those ones. Do you not think perhaps their family members, their parents, if they're still around, because of this, suffered at the hands of what happened? I mean, not being too crass here, but how about we just be honest about these things? Passed away soon after they left. Yeah, how did that happen? Should we talk about that?
And so it was a cabinet decision to keep it in line with all the other redress payments.
The government is still working through redress for those abused in other forms of state care. Lake Ellis survivor Malcolm Richards says they should get more than $150,000 for the torture they endured.
The average payment is $150,000 for normal state abuse. I don't want to minimise that by saying normal, but I mean, I don't know what else to use.
Yeah, so state abuse, that's not clinically torture. It's $150,000. And they're saying, well, it's like going, well, at a job accident, I lost my hand and got given $150,000 as a payout. At a job accident, I lost both my arms and they offered me $150,000 payout. It's not the same. Multitudes of scale.
But, just without the torture.
Redress for Lake Ellis will also include a new written apology which explicitly acknowledges torture and access to support. Lisa Napier.
There you go. It wasn't a particularly long story, and I think it's interesting. So here's the other question to the debate. Sometimes I do still default to talkback host mode, and I think about what would this go like as a talkback show. Like, is this okay that they're saying quick, easy payout, 150K, or you can take a case and see what ends up happening over the next 7 years it takes to go through the courts?
That was my thought. Devil's advocate time here. I don't necessarily agree with this, but I can see the argument. There will be people that are elderly, unwell, that sort of thing, and not wanting to drag out what has already been a very long, disturbing process. And maybe for those people, it's like, yeah, I don't want to fight anymore, 150. Cold. If I was one of those people and I had the ability, every single one of them deserves more.
So just pause for a sec.
Yeah.
Because Lake Ellis shut down in October 1999, so 25 years ago. If we're thinking about children, you're thinking about, let's use the medium for a children would be about a 12-year-old, from 5 to 18, about 12. So it means the youngest people that were at Lake Ellis that potentially suffer this are going to be 40. Right? 35, 40. So there's going to be a lot of younger people there, but of course it started in the 1950s, 75 years ago. So yeah, people in their 80s, as well as obviously people who have gone. And as you're saying, Chewy, if you're someone in your 80s who or 70s or 60s who suffered there and are still around, you might just go, well, how long have I got left? I'll take the easy 150 now, thanks.
Yeah. I think it's, I think it's shitty that they are saying, yeah, here's a nominal amount, no questions asked. You've done the hard mahi.
Mm-hmm.
But then the implication is there's potentially more if you want to fight us some more. Isn't that what that sounds like?
Yeah. And look, sorry, I'm interrupting you because I'm just reading it as we're doing. Of course, they weren't doing electroshock therapy in the 1990s. This was all from the 70s. So it's 50 years ago. So the youngest person is going to be 60, 55 to 60. That's going to be the youngest person from this state-sponsored torture because that was in the 1970s. So just,
I mean, the one thing that I am really glad to see here is they're not sort of trying to hand wave away what happened. That they are literally calling it torture. It wasn't like controversial therapeutic processes or discredited. You know, it was torture. At least that's being said loud and clear.
On October 30th, 2024, Cabinet Minister Erica Stanford confirmed that the New Zealand government would address a parity issue in a $6.5 million compensation settlement that it had reached with 95 Lake Ellis survivors in 2001. So I'm guessing that's the 150K for quote unquote, not my words, normal abuse. So yeah, I mean, like Chewy, how much would it be worth to you to be put through electroshock therapy for the next 5 or 6 years? You know, is there a number you can put on it? Like saying that to Erica Stanford.
Number on that. It's terrifying.
But that's the point. So 150 is nothing. If there's not a number on it, then 150 is might as well be $5. If there's not a number for it.
And like what Erica was saying there is like, oh, you know, there had to be a line, and we drew it at the person that was directly affected. I think what you're saying there is 100% correct. Yes, there is a line, and I think that line was your life affected by what went on at Lake Ellis?
Yeah,
and I think that should cover the children of the victims.
Yeah,
because those were children had and raised by people that would have been incredibly damaged by this. I don't think anybody came out of that facility and then went on to have an easy, normal life.
Yeah. The government, this government, every government always seems to get that payment schedule wrong, whatever it is. If it's unemployment benefit, what they do is what they should do, the attitude of government looking after people should be, let's set our financial investment, whether it's a benefit or a redress payout, higher than it needs to be. Yes, it will catch a few people who don't necessarily need it, maybe not the redress one, but thinking about people who are on a benefit, people who are unemployment, there'll be a few people there who milk the system, quote unquote, milk the system. But that's much better to have a few people, quote unquote, milking the system than setting it lower and having the bottom half struggle and struggle and struggle. I always think that the attitude of looking after your citizens should be, well, we'll make sure everyone's looked after, even if a few people milk it, rather than make it so they really want to get off because everyone struggles. That doesn't seem to be a way to look after people. So in this instance, in the redress instance, it should be, I would rather see them set it higher, even if it's more than, say, one needed or whatever, I don't even know what that number would be, then lower and have people complaining. You know, I mean, I don't want to minimize, I'm about to minimize this and I don't want to, but, you know, that kind of idea that you sell something for less than it's worth so the person who buys it's always happy, like on Trade Me or whatever. This is the opposite. You set the dollar figure higher so everyone's happy, even if it means, it's like, okay, could you have, you're going to pay $500,000. If you could have got away with $400,000, it would have been okay. But $500,000 is just going to be better for everybody, except for their books. And I would rather see it higher than lower.
I got such a good deal on the compensation to those torture victims. Yeah. And this needs to be like a message. It's like when someone, like an employer, is responsible for the death of someone. That sort of thing. The message has to be, don't fucking do this. It will cost you millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. And this is the problem in New Zealand, is that we've given away the right to sue. Now, do I want us to be America? No, of course not. The litigious nature of there is ridiculous. But the flip side of that is equally ridiculous, that someone can lose their arm at work and basically end up on a benefit or an ACC payout of $100,000 or $80,000 and then be on a benefit the rest of their lives. Now, if you lose your arm at work, that workplace should be responsible for keeping you comfortable the rest of your life. But this is the flip side. We don't live in a litigious society because of ACC. Good. ACCs doesn't compensate well enough when it's a really serious situation for someone to be able to then live comfortably as if that thing hadn't happened to them. If they hadn't lost their arm at their place of work and they'd worked another 40 years, averaging 80, 100, 120K a year, they'd be living like this. That's how they should be able to keep living after the accident. You know what I mean?
And we also need to acknowledge that, yes, this is compensation for what they suffered at the hands of these facilities and organisations.
Yeah.
But the process of them getting here has been a re-victimization.
Yeah, true.
We've spoken on the show before about the disrespect that has been shown all of the people that have been involved into the inquiry into the state care. The government's lawyers fought them incredibly hard, almost unethically hard, all the way through. That the apology was fucking bullshit as well. Like, do these people deserve more? Fuck yes, they do.
Yeah, of course.
Do I care how they get the money? No, I do not.
Yeah.
I will fight the government in the street over every dollar for a lot of the stuff that they're doing. But for these guys, green lights all the way. Just hit. Have we got a way to make sure that they never pay for anything ever again?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We're given, like in America, you sue the company for 10 million, you settle for 5, and there you go. You can live off that the rest of your life, sort of thing. So it's the ACC situation has made it so we don't have to be fearful of being sued, but it's also meant people who are in a situation where you kind of go, why didn't you sue them? Then get screwed over by ACC and can live a subsistence life the rest of their life, which is not right either. So we haven't got the balance right. Super chat here, Kahunu. Look at the macro narrative, not the individual politicians. Thank you for your super chat. Study BoyNZ. How about finding people who are truly, quote, milking the system, but still looking after everybody? The balance really can't be that hard. When I say milking the system, I just want to make sure we're clear, because I'm not pulling a right narrative here by saying, oh, those bludgers. It's a bit like when we had COVID payouts. And there was a huge uproar from the right because people got payouts that didn't need it. People who were living overseas got payouts, from these COVID payouts we were doing. And very quickly we figured out that actually to do a bulk payment to everyone was far cheaper than to try and weed out the 1% of people that wouldn't be getting it. So some people got it who didn't need it or shouldn't have gotten it, but that was still cheaper than setting up a whole bureaucratic system to means test everyone to make sure that 1% of people didn't get it. So when I talk about including people who are milking the system, what I'm meaning is people who aren't entitled or don't need or shouldn't be getting it. I would rather include them to look after those at the bottom then build a system where we eliminate them and then still don't look after the ones at the bottom very well. Is that clearer when I say it like that, Chewy? Yeah. Yes. All right. Brian says, payment done before Christmas, forgot by New Year. Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point. That's a sad and interesting point. Okay, let's move on. Looking at all the people who bought merch tonight. Hey, Michael and Kiwi Skirt and Charlie. And
Moochers
Gold.
out for free stickers. They're onto you.
Moochers. Yeah, you know what? Someone worked the system. I'll tell you what it is, and if you're quick, you can go. Someone worked out the system today, and I laughed. I've set up the system for stickers, and I think it's 3. What is it? Oh, no, maybe I'm wrong. I was going to say, I think it's like $35 for an 8-pack, but it's $17 for a 4-pack. I think that's right. And so, of course, someone just ordered 2 4-packs. Am I right with that? What's an 8-pack? Oh, no. Okay, well, why the hell did they order 2 4-packs? Because an 8-pack's only 27, so it's much cheaper. A 4-pack's 17. Oh, unless it's maybe it's the other ones. Maybe it's the buffers. A 5-pack for buffers is 20, a 10. Oh, no. Okay. No, I guess I just thought in my head they'd worked out the system.
False alarm.
False alarm.
The system works.
System works.
The system works.
No need to change it. Here's a system that doesn't work. Ugh.
Just from a biological system point of view, this is a system that is clearly not working.
I apologize, people. I know that many of you don't want to hear the melting pile of pancake batter, his voice. What I should do is I should record these, put them through my editing software, and then make Pancake Batter's voice like high and squeaky on helium or something, just so people could to handle him better. Okay, so we have a look at a couple of things, and of course, this is Plunkett's Politician of the Year.
What the fuck?
Oh, look, how anyone cannot go Hannah this year, for no other reason, even if you're on the right, that the attention she got from the world, tens of millions of interactions with our country, our Indigenous culture because of her, how she can't be the top of everyone's list, whether you like their politics or not, it just goes to show how partisan you really are. So I've got a couple of short clips to play. None of them are very long. This is only like 90 seconds. But I know you already know this, guys, but David Seymour has a philosophy of just spending less and less and less. And that's what he wants us to know. He says it with such confidence that governments he's involved with are going to spend, it's not just less, it's like less and less. So next year, less than the year after. The year after that, less than the year. It goes on and on. This is the system that we're looking forward to at our new Deputy Prime Minister as of the middle of next year.
Come on, that HYEFU yesterday was pretty depressing reading, David. If you were looking for an agenda of change or expansion anywhere, that's put the kibosh on that, hasn't it?
Well, there's been too much expansion of government, and what you'll see now is that we're going to do a $2.4 billion a year operating allowance. And what that means is that we're going to be spending less and less each year.
I just want you to be really clear. I know you guys are on board with this, but this man actively saying less and less each year. Now he does say based on population, so it may not be a direct line down, but every year this man wants the government to spend less and less. That means, following his logic, his ideal year would be $0. Because following his logic, if every year they spend less and less, eventually you get to zero. That's unarguable. Now he might go, well, there's something, police, but okay, so when you get to that point where you're down to the essentials, he's still saying less and less. Then what? Let's get to the end of this.
After population growth and inflation. So that means real efficiency every year to get government back in shape.
This is the lie that these guys take. They say that real efficiency is less money, right? Real efficiency is less money. Those two things don't necessarily go together. That's why you see big companies spending millions of dollars on building robotics to make their product. They spend more money to become more efficient. They don't spend less money. This is the naive and well, I can't say he's lying. He may believe it, but this is this naive idea that these libertarians put out there. We are going to be more efficient because we're spending less money. No, you're just spending less money. And I'll tell you something, most places will function far worse when you're spending less money, which will actually make them less efficient.
Now, I know there's people who say, well, you should go a lot faster. I'd generally be one of them. But what we've got is three parties working together to carry out an agenda of cutting government waste. And right across the board, I look at Brooke van Velden and health and safety and labour laws, or Nicole McKee and anti-money laundering, or Simon Court and Resource Management Act. I'm really proud of what ACT is doing. And that's before you come to what I'm doing with the Ministry for Regulations. So, cutting waste, cutting red tape, that's the only way you let people
we want to mention that, do we?
Get out and actually produce more wealth, which is what we all desperately need right now. And the government doesn't have a magic money tree, but we can create the conditions for people who already work very hard to be more productive and get more reward.
There you go, Chewy. We've got two more clips to play, but I've had my crack. Yours, sir?
Yeah, the idea that you can starve government departments of money and then somehow through some Darwinian process you end up with this hyper-efficient department that can run on the smell of an oily rag. No, that doesn't work. You good people that should be getting compensated well, they've left. They've left for higher paying private sector jobs. And the people that you have left are the people that weren't good enough to do that. So it's running directly counter to what you reckon. I am all for anything that looks at true government waste, but so much. And the proof is out there every time that this has been attempted. Again, like the people have learned this lesson before it's been tried here. We're not trailblazers here. Every time it's tried, it hasn't worked. You get efficiency out of government departments by listening to the smart people that work within them, the people that point out the frustrating bottlenecks in their jobs. And that is something that happens in every job. The number of jobs that I've been in where I've gone, why do we do it this way? And someone goes, it's because we've always done it this way. They can't articulate why. And then you go, isn't it easier to do this? And in a good workplace, someone will look at it and go, oh shit, yeah, you're right. That's heaps quicker and easier. Let's do it that way. That's what happens when you listen to your people, when you're good to your people and your workers. They will point out your dead weight. Oh, Debbie's a shit worker. She sleeps at her desk and she eats my yogurt. Let's get rid of her.
Sounds like
Debbie is not a real person.
No, right.
That sort of thing. It doesn't come from this hologram coming in and saying, if we starve everybody, they're going to work harder. Morale will improve as long as we continue the beatings. It's just not how people work.
I'm reminded of stories from people who in the like 80s or 90s or whatever grew up with solo mums, and I don't know if you've heard these stories, Chewy, but I've heard these stories about how this parent could make a meal stretch amazingly by basically putting one chicken wing into the broth, and that's how they made their meal, and that's how they stretched it. That's what he's talking about from a government point of view. Now, if you want to see the best way to make an efficient meal for those kids, instead of the one chicken leg, I guarantee you that one chicken leg or one chicken wing didn't give them what they needed. It was a literal starvation diet. So actually spending less and less and less and putting one chicken wing in to make your meal is not a good use, because then those people would be less productive the next day at work. They'd be more tired. They wouldn't be as energy. So there's actually flow-ons from there. What he's basically saying is we want to get every government department down to only needing one chicken bone for their meals. And then that's efficiency. And it's not. It's a starvation diet. And if you starve the public sector, then it's not going to function like it should. Now, is some of public sector bloated? I'm happy to have that conversation. I'm sure in every workplace there is some bloating, right? But probably the reality is, as per usual, it's somewhere in between what Labour would do and what National would do. The truth often lies in the middle between two opinions.
These people think that there's 20% bloat across the entire public service sector.
Yeah.
That is mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like any job, pay and conditions keeps good people there. The good people have left or are about to leave.
Let's have a look at the next part. And the next part is the bit where he talks about IRD criminals. Now, he says it in a way where he goes, criminal elements like IRD. So he does, I mean, I might not be a direct quote there, but you'll hear it. But also the thing that I'm fascinated more and more with those on the right is these are the guys that scream at the left and they talk culture wars, culture wars, culture wars. You know, like in America, they've just talked all about how, Carmela will trans your kids. And, the advert that they put out about Carmela's for they, them, Donald Trump's for you. And Kamala Harris, the only people who talked about that kind of stuff at the last election were the right. The left didn't talk about it at all. The left didn't invoke it. They didn't bring it up. They didn't talk about it. It's the right who do this. And this is a moment where Pancake Man actually goes off talking about how well Seymour's done by activating those culture war issues. When culture war issues aren't actually the issues that do all these things that the right say we need about crime and punishment and law and order and cost of living and and growing the economy. So the cultural war issues don't address any of those. And the cultural war issues, the right say, is what the left is all about, but they're the only ones who ever seem to be talking about it. And this is these two guys actually talking about it.
It now seems to be very active, and I think reflecting a certain public mood in regards to cultural changes in society.
Yeah, cultural changes is the way he's wording it.
In regards to changing the temperature around issues that might be seen as, I don't know, part of the culture wars, the war on woke. And I think New Zealand First and ACT, while National represents it itself as doing the heavy economic and policy lifting, you guys have been the kind of mood change or represent the mood change that people voted for when they gave the coalition the ability to form.
So the mood change is exactly that. It's the cultural war stuff. It's like, it's the Chewy said it 100 times for the R section. It's governing by vibes. It's the vibes. It's got nothing to do with how to govern, how to make the country better, how to fix this, how to fix that. It is the vibe. It is the mood of the country, and that's what they're functioning off. And again, I'll say that's what they constantly accuse the left of doing, but it's one of those instances where every accusation is an admission, and it's the guys on the right who are constantly going about cultural wars. And I'm going to give you some examples from Karen's Twitter feed in just a sec.
Form of government.
Yeah, see, I would argue we're punching above our weight on the economics too. But I take your point. You know, the way that we conceive ourselves as a country is at a crossroads. We can either see ourselves as a group of people who each have equal dignity and equal rights to pursue our goals, be responsible for our actions. And
well, we have that now, equal rights and equal dignity. This is the thing, right? He's saying this thing we don't have, which we do. Equal dignity and equal rights to pursue our goals. We have that now, but he sold this as a cultural war issue, and he's got it in there as a wedge issue because people believe him. There is no one in New Zealand that doesn't have equal rights to pursue their own goals right now. That doesn't exist in the real world, just in Seymour's culture war. Basically
just make the most of our time on earth. Or we can see ourselves as, you know, the way I suspect some of those judges at the Northern Club see it, two collectives.
Culture war issue. Judges at the Northern Club. We'll look at that in a sec.
Where your membership of a group matters more than your inherent dignity and rights as an individual. Now, you know,
like your membership of being an MP, and you have a right that I don't have under the law to defame people under parliamentary privilege. You mean like that? Because you're the membership of a group that actually doesn't give me a right that you've got a right. You've got a right to go into that house and defame people. I don't. Is that the kind of group you're talking about, Mr. Seymour? Just wondering.
I would say that actually if you go back to Roger Douglas when he started ACT, he would talk about things like, you know, does a person have a right to get a job,
yes,
to buy a car, whether it's made in New Zealand or elsewhere, to be able to get themselves around, to access an education. ACT's always been hot on education, and we're still doing that through charter schools.
So that's all yes so far. So what are we arguing about here?
What's the point?
But the other thing is, have a right to buy a car? Is that in the Human Rights Commission? Is that like we got a right? Like, what are these words you're using? Culture war, man.
Giving people choice and control over their lives. And so I actually tie all of this together. The treaty issue, the economy, the education, free speech. It's all about this idea that each of us is a thinking and valuing being. We should have the opportunity, the dignity to make our own way in the world, not be lumped by stereotypes or have your assets stolen by the IRD or any other criminal.
Yeah.
Have your assets stolen by the IRD or any other criminal. Therefore, IRD, Member of Parliament, Minister of the Crown, saying that this government department is criminal, Chewy. That's what he's saying.
So the guy that wants to reframe the Treaty of Waitangi wants to bring up having your assets stolen.
Yeah.
Interesting move, Mr. Seymour.
By the
How
IRD,
much of New Zealand land
or
has
any other
been
criminal
stolen?
entity. I just want to play that again. I want to play this again. This is the Minister of the Crown.
There.
This is the Minister of the Crown, our next Deputy Prime Minister, calling the IRD, government department looking after our tax, a criminal entity.
Assets stolen by the IRD or any other criminal.
Yeah.
by the IRD or any other criminal. Because what that means, for clarity, is the IRD are criminals. Because when you say or any other criminal, that means what I've just said before is listed. Having someone in my house, having Shaquille O'Neal in my house, or any other 7-footer. Shaquille O'Neal is a 7-footer. That's what it means. IRD or any other criminal. Minister of the Crown, next Deputy Prime Minister, publicly just said IRD is criminal.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. When you look at libertarians overseas, they are generally pro-gun, as we've seen here with ACT supporters. There's quite a core that don't like the semi-automatic weapons ban, that are pro-gun rights and that sort of thing. They want small government, and now we have that party's leader suggesting that the tax department are thieving criminals. Now, when that's happened overseas, you end up with bombings and shootings. Now, I don't know how much a comment like this might push that window forward.
Yeah.
But I think we do have a segment of our society that feels under pressure, that feels like things are changing too quick for them, that they don't feel like they're going to be the dominant group on top, that have a purely individual mindset of I do what I want and fuck everybody else. And for those guys, Seymour is their man.
Yep. Because it's like when you, again, sorry for the American examples, but when you identify, when the right identifies the left as like having sex dungeons in the basement of a pizzeria, that emboldens someone to go, well, that's criminal activity. We need to protect kids, so I'm going to go in there and sort it out. And that particular pizzeria, Pizzagate, did have people turning up with guns because they've been told that these people are committing crimes against children. So obviously the right thing to do when people are committing crimes is to intercede. So therefore, what's the right thing to do when you're identifying the organisation that looks after our taxes as criminal? Well, hang on, we push back against criminal activity. We fight back against criminal activity. That's what you're saying, true. But there's one other thing I want to say as well. Just as evidence of this culture war stuff coming from the right. You know the story about the drunken judge crashing the New Zealand First Party? It is it's titillation. It's a nothing story. It's a slow news day. Yeah, some judge got a bit pissed up and walked into another room from a wealthy, after work drinks thing and basically gave Winston Peters some stick. That's the story. Some pissed up rich person went and shouted at some other pissed up rich people. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Karen Plunkett's Twitter feed. Unbelievable. Sean Plunkett, drunk judge, crashes New Zealand First Party. The next story. Do you think TV1, RNZ News will cover the drunk judge and KC gate crashing? Number 3, all in a row. I wonder if the Law Society investigates its own at the Northern Club involving Winston Peters, a KC and a district. This is the culture war. This is the example of the people in this kind of circle being involved in the culture war. This is a nothing story. It's a nothing story. It's an embarrassment to the organisations, to the judiciary, absolutely. But it's a nothing story. And this pile of pancake batter is playing culture war games and not just amplifying it or talking about, but like, I bet you, he's basically, I bet you TV1 doesn't cover this because, woke and protect, they did, as did Stuff, because it's a slow news day. It's a nothing story. And it's just evidence again for everyone that these culture war games that we keep getting accused of on the left, we don't play them anywhere near as much as the right does. But the right has the skill that for some reason they're able to paint the narrative they want and it sticks.
I saw a really interesting...
Luxon was able to say the 15-year-olds at school last year are underperforming and it's Labor's fault. And it stuck. It wasn't true, The reason those 15-year-olds were
Yeah.
underperforming was thanks to John Key in 2011 bringing in national standards. When he brought them in, the teaching community in one voice said, if you do this, in 10 to 15 years from now, this is what you'll see. And it's what we saw with 15-year-olds. But the right managed to sell the narrative that it's Labour's fault. And it was believed. The right sells the narrative, those woke, tarred, lefty, culture war, all they care about is listing genders and you know, being snowflakes. We're not doing that story tonight. Not because, oh, look at those wokies won't talk about it, because it's a bullshit story. A couple of pissed up rich people had a crack verbally at a couple of other pissed up rich people. Okay, be embarrassed. Get over yourselves. Chewy.
I saw a really interesting piece talking about why the right seems to focus on these cultural war issues so much.
Yeah.
And with such intensity. And it was framed around the shooting of the health insurance CEO. And I thought it made some really interesting points. The reason that they focus on these things is, at face value, like there's people that just don't get trans issues, gay issues, pronouns, all of that sort of thing. They find it confusing. It's straight away there is an instant uptick where people go, yeah, I don't get it. But there doesn't bring that fear to it. The reason that they focus on these issues is because when you get into left-wing economics, more people are going to agree than disagree.
We win.
They can't debate in that space.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we were talking about when we were talking about the Greens tax plan with Chloe the other night.
Yeah.
Is like, unless you're that person that's pulling $150,000 a year, it's not going to affect you. You want to pay taxes, and that's fine as long as you seem to get good value for your taxes, and that could be, less crime. That could be better hospitals. Your kids are at really nice schools and they're learning well. Like, if all of that stuff is going, then who really gives a shit how much tax you're paying?
Yeah.
That's why when you look at countries with high taxation, like as we always talk about the Scandinavian countries, with amazing schooling, low crime, high taxation, people can see the value in it. You get into that economic conversation from a left and a right point of view, everyone's going to agree. So we can't talk about that. We've got to talk about something else. These guys on the left, like, sometimes you can't even tell that they're guys. They've got the blue hair and they're talking about the pronouns. It's all fucking confusing. And aren't they weird? That's what we're going to talk about. Because if we talk about the left-right break, we're not talking about the top and bottom break.
Yeah.
That's why these guys latch onto it. Do I think that Plunkett is a fucking mastermind and he's trying to fight back against that entire system? No, I think he's an idiot in the declining years and the tatters of his career. And all he is doing is farming that rage for personal enrichment to make himself feel like he's in the middle of a movement. But it definitely benefits people 2 or 3, 4 stations above him.
And I think he is in the middle of
David Seymour. Absolutely.
He is in the middle of a movement. It's just a bowel movement is where he pretty much sits with his stuff.
You never see the bucket that's sitting under his gaming chair that he's got there.
Let's have a look at the last clip, because I mean, if we're going to show David Seymour,
look at that. There he is in the middle of that movement. Very pleased.
We do have to at least, hear what he got to say about the Treaty Principles Bill, and then just to wrap up this Merry Christmas to you all from little Oliver, Karen, Pancake Batter Plunkett. I want to show you something that nearly got me to finally quit Twitter. I'll do that next.
About the treaty principles you like. Nothing. There's nothing there I like. And once people looked at the 3 planks of it, it's very hard, I think, for a reasonable person to find anything there that they shouldn't like.
It's very hard for a reasonable person to find something they shouldn't like. This is the danger of David Seymour. You guys know this, but we still want to amplify it. He says things that sound reasonable, but it's the subtext and it's how those reasonable things get implemented that can be dangerous.
Or support, right?
Yeah, and look, if you haven't been to treaty.nz, please do, and encourage others. If people say, they've got an opinion, this is divisive or racist or whatever else they're saying, say, look, do yourself a favour, go to treaty.nz, make up your mind based on what it says, because what's interesting about all the polling that's come out recently is...
and fact check. That's the other thing, because Treaty NZ says various words in the Te mean something different from what they mean. So you can't just go there. You have to go there and then also fact check to find out that some of the information on there is wrong.
That if you ask people, do you like the treaty principles bill? The narrow majority say, oh no, because they've just heard endless
that's because you're a racist,
media
David.
and
that's because you're a Nazi.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Many a truth.
I know. It's just so tiresome. But once people say, well, look, should the government and Parliament have the right to govern and make laws? Yes.
No one disagrees with that. Should they be able to govern and have the rights to make laws? Yes, we all agree with that. This is the thing. Sounds reasonable.
Should the Crown uphold the rights Maori had in 1840? Well, yes, but...
Well, yes, but... Interesting but.
Yes. Should the Crown uphold the rights Maori had in 1840? Well, yes, but they should uphold all people's rights, actually.
But this is the thing. Sounds reasonable, but now to have an honest conversation, we need to understand what were those rights in 1840. See, he says it and skips past it. So what were those rights? And that's where the disagreement is. And because the disagreement is what were those rights, he can skip past it and go, yeah, of course, and also everybody else's rights as well. Okay, well, now we need to identify what were those rights in 1840, what was signed on to, and that's where the mistruth, I would say liars, that's where the incorrect information is coming out.
And should people's rights be equal? Yes, they should. I mean, those are the three principles.
Well, we already know that's not true. 17-year-olds can't vote. Women can't be Catholic priests. People's rights aren't equal. Never have been, never will be, never should be. That's what I'm saying. It's very easy to take apart and to explain. Sounds reasonable. One layer of conversation shows you the horse shit. The two pieces of horse shit you've just heard are everyone should have the same rights. We don't. We never will. We never should. Disabled people should get the part closest to the door. They should have that right over me. I'm okay with that. Over 65 should get the pension. I'm okay with being under 65 and not getting it yet. Will I get it? Well, if I make it that far, I'm okay with that. So we don't and we won't. And the other thing is, we now need to discuss and debate what rights Māori had in 1840. And that's where, I'll say every academic, most academics, all academics that I've heard, disagree with you, Mr. Seymour. So until we go into that conversation, we can't just do a pithy point, and move on. It's a bigger conversation than that.
They reflect what Te Tiriti, the Maori version, actually said.
So
and
you
I think one day, if not through this law, we will see that as being the constitutional basis of our country, a true reflection of the treaty and the democratic liberal values our country is built on. And that's not a surprise because the people who drafted the treaty were classical liberals in the mid-19th century, and they shared those values too.
There you go. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing, but Chewie, do you want to speak to that? I'll show you something very shortly. That
I want to speak to that very little, but yes, Te Tiriti is not a version, it's the treaty.
Yeah.
Again, he keeps saying these things that are incorrect. It's an agreement between races. Not true. Māori have special rights. Well, if it's in Te Tiriti, they fucking do, because that's the agreement.
Yeah, it's a contract.
That's the agreement that said Māori, but tangata whenua being fucking consulted on shit takes nothing away from me. Like there was a story today. The Invercargill Council voted to discharge for the next 2 years sewage into the Fovo Strait, straight in. Now there's a like the tangata whenua down there challenged that and said that that's not a great idea. Here's what we think you should do. We think that we should build like something to stop that from happening. But we acknowledge that it's going to be really expensive. So a second option is to filter it through a natural wetland. So when the sewage goes into the Fovo Strait, which is of course where people fish and gather food, that's what should be done. Māori down there are involved at a committee level. They're not at the council level. So the council decided to have a vote at the council level and completely disregarded that excellent advice from the tangata whenua. Now that's exactly what we're talking about here. That Māori are exerting their rights to be consulted on stuff like this for the betterment of everyone. Water quality, land use, all of this sort of stuff. David Seymour's supporters don't like that because of reasons. And the reasons is tax or I want to exploit this area. So, I mean, there's an example right there from fucking today. You can go and read about it. This is why they want to keep shutting Māori out, because they inconvenience the old guard.
Yep. Now, you said David Seymour's audience, his voters. Well, I would say there's a pretty big crossover with Sean Plunkett in that world as well.
Yeah.
This was something that came out earlier in the week. And this is probably the first time I've kind of gone, because I use Twitter for, I don't know, I use Twitter mostly for work stuff. It's for this. People are watching us right now on Twitter. It's what we do. It would be nice to move on to Blue Sky permanently. I want to build my base over there, and I want Blue Sky to be more user-friendly when it comes to video before I move. But I saw this commentary after that conversation where Debbie Ngarewa-Packer, I won't say claims, because we've been hearing from the people who work there as well, the racist abuse she got at a petrol station. Sean Plunkett, the irony here is palpable. Feel free to discuss this from 7 a.m. tomorrow on the platform. And the commentary in this is, you talked about David Seymour's fans. I would say that maybe the Venn diagram is a circle. I'll read a few of them. I haven't bookmarked any of them. There might be worse than this. Didn't Rawiri promise us escalation if we didn't bow to Māori demands? A staged attack. The question is by whom? I wouldn't put it past Tamahiri to organise it. Have they forgotten
it's always
the ram raid?
The false flag.
But it goes on. It's the same ones who did that home invasion in Huntly for their other member, the invisible ones. Ngarewa-Packer said that the petrol station staff intervened, providing her protection from a raging racist. So she saw herself in the mirror and identified it correctly. What did she expect with the rhetoric she spews? So brings on herself. A hug. She brought this filth on. The born again types are, and then it goes on. I'm going to keep reading it. Well, she better take some of that big fat paycheck she earns to pay for security then. Goes on and on and on. Sling that bitch in jail, okay? And on and on and on. And it is the most vile. Like, I'm pretty hard to offend. This doesn't personally offend me, but I'm like, this is one of the... Which one?
You got to have a mention of Golgras in there as well.
Okay.
Because they haven't let that go either.
This is one of the most disgusting threads. And I'm sorry to have to share it with you, but, serves her right. Agree. Forever the victims. Probably a half-true story. And on. Probably staged by Te Pāti Māori. And on and on. Did the white fella refuse to pay for her petrol? And on and on and on. And it's this is a sector of society that is feeling emboldened. They're feeling emboldened because of Winston and because of Seymour. They're feeling emboldened because of people like Corin Plunkett. And you know what? People often have a crack at us going, "Oh, platform's 10 times as big as you." You know what? I wouldn't give up our audience for the audience for all the tea in China.
All the Right Family Foundation.
All the Right
money
Family
on offer.
Foundation children rentals. I would not change it for the world. I would much rather be 1/10 their size, and we're not 1/10 their size. It doesn't matter. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night. Than to have those kind of people agree with me, because even if Plunkett is to say things like, "Well, they're not my views. They're the views of the people following me." Yeah, but why are they following you? There's something those people see in you that makes them want to follow you.
I judge Sean Plunkett on his words and actions, and also the words and actions of the people that follow him.
Yeah.
Because you can't nope out of that. Like, that's why they flock to you. That, like, David Seymour is scared of half of his voters. I guarantee you he wouldn't want to be in the same room as one of them. I saw him in a video get fucking cornered by someone.
At a meeting, At like an open meeting. Yeah.
He, like, you could see his bollocks fucking disappear back into his torso along with his neck. He knew who he was talking about to. He knew how dangerous that man was.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, there's news stories. There's 3 from this region alone of the sovereign citizen guys. Now they like if they're not crazy enough to vote for New Zealand Loyal or something like that, then they're guaranteed to be ACT voters.
Yeah,
like they're crazy. They're like, raise your hand if you've had a worthwhile conversation that said with someone that supports ACT. And I know that we've got some ACT voters that are in our chat, and there's also someone on Discord that sometimes flirts with. But even they go, these guys have gone too far.
Yeah, my favorite bit about sovereign citizens is, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. I'm not driving, I'm not traveling.
Oh yeah.
I haven't engaged with you. I do not see your sovereign. I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I'm not involved in commerce. I'm traveling. Dudes.
Like you would have seen the landlord down here in Dunedin who went to court. He's been fined 25 grand for removing the earthquake prone notices on his building.
Yeah.
And I love that. The sovereign citizens, they're all for like individual rights, yet you're taking away the rights of the individual to attain the risk of going inside that building. Like, he's a landlord. How do you sign a contract with a sovereign citizen landlord?
Yeah.
What the fuck? You know, it's fine. They don't want to be a part of the system until they can make the system work against someone else. They're a bunch of clowns.
Yeah. All right, team. A bunch of clowns. What a great place to wrap up for tonight. That's us for tonight. Remember, we do have the shop open up. Everyone who gets, look, even if you buy I sent out a few packs of stickers today because someone bought some stickers, and I'm like, well, if you buy some merch, I'll throw some stickers in there. And so people who bought stickers today that I posted out, you got another sticker thrown in there as well. So t-shirts are up today at the moment. They all come in rust. These 3 come in rust. They all come in green. And this one comes in a black marl, and this one comes in orange as well. The Chewy one does. Nikki Noboats are still there doing her stuff, and I hope maybe tomorrow that I will also get some hoodies back up there as well. Just got to do a stock take of what we've got and slowly release them to the wild, Chewy, to see where they want to go and live. Off you go, little merch. Go find yourself a new daddy or a new mummy. Go on, they'll treat you well. So if you buy anything this week, we're going to throw a sticker in there for you just to say thanks. It's a little thing, but just a way of saying thanks as we lead up to Christmas. And tomorrow night, of course, we have got a show on, but it'll be a bit different. I'm sure there will be at least a news story we cover, even if it's just the GDP that's being released.
Pat,
from the wild.
We've had such great numbers out of every show that we've had a clip of Piers Morgan and his 5 talking heads shouting over each other. Are we going to try that? We're going to try that same format?
Maybe. But you know what I've just realised? There's like 1,000 super chats we have to get through. I'm so sorry, people. I should have done this as we were going. So let's do this first, then we'll wrap up and say goodnight. Ken says, National always telling us they're working very hard to get our country back on track. I don't even know what those words mean, imbeciles. Kiwi Bird, can we spend less and less on David Seymour? Fucking demon, less and less. I'm going to die because of this ass hat. When he better pull the pin, proof he is the worst. Yeah. How long will Winnie put up with Seymour's shit, says Brian. Thank you for the super chat. Another super chat from Bill. What is it with this conservatives? What is it with conservatives that they think they own the place and they think they're the rightful leaders and they think they know what's best? Huh? What's with that? Yeah, I guess there's a lot of truth in that. Fucking 14% mood change, 14% bullshit, is that what that says? Something like that. Thank you for the super chat. But Pancake's man entire shtick is profiting of rage and culture wars, so of course he loves it, says Daniel. Hot on education, like Snapchat, David. Hey, I see what you did there. Tane says some will be paid more than others and includes survivors having to prove they've been tortured, government words, re-traumatizing them over again completely. Howie says we must call out greed. Capitalism is elevated it as a virtue, make the wealthy feel uncomfortable. France, 1789. Is that Let Them Eat Cake? Is that what that reference is, perhaps? David is a criminal robbing our grave. Man, Mr. Arvids has gone off on his little super chats today. What New Zealander hasn't been pissed and said some shit? It's about the North Club, yeah. I think the fisheye lens is to hide Karen's weight. Yeah, it's so weird how he does have a fisheye lens in his studio. We should send him a decent camera for Christmas, thanks to us patrons. No, I won't do that, patrons. I promise I won't spend your money on that. Proletariat, sorry, was Collins outraged when Woodhouse put Claire Curran's face on a toilet seat at National Party gathering, National Party get-together? This is a nothing burger. It is a nothing burger. It's a slow news day is what it is. Hard on Collider. Thank you for your super chat. Free choice doesn't exist anymore. When you only provide people with a limited framework, who's the real criminal in David's equality narrative? Arvids again. You're telling me, so tiresome, LOL. Thank you for your super chat. And diarrhea, rename Seymour's disease. For fuck's sake. There we go. All right, guys. Now, tomorrow night we'll be back, the four of us. And we'll just have a hangout time tomorrow night. Yes, we will probably touch on the news, but the main reason we'll be here tomorrow night is to kind of wrap up for the year. So I hope everyone comes along, comes and hangs out for the evening. We will definitely be opening up Discord, and I will do my best tomorrow. I'm going to try and do no prep for the show, Chewy, tomorrow night, which is unlike me, and I can put my prep time into getting those hoodies on the store for our final show and to go through the kind of summer period.
Hey,
all right, team.
Hey, Pat, just before you hit the button,
Yep.
I'm just going to slide this one in there. Just
Sure. Sliding into my DMs.
Like it. National have said that they're going to reduce their contribution to the National Super Fund.
Oh, of course they have.
So there's that. That's it's another mistake that they're repeating.
Yeah, of course they have. That's not going to impact us all in 20 years from now, is it?
No,
30, 40 years from now? Not
It'll be
at
fine.
all. All right, team. We wish you a Merry Christmas tomorrow night. Look to see you then. We'll catch you up. And also, we do this on the last show every time we've done this. We'll give you some updates as to where we've been and where we're coming from and where we're going. Should I give you one right now, Chewy? I'll give you one right now.
Go on then.
Last year, 2023, all of 2023, we got about the same number of views on YouTube only, all of 2023, as we got in the last month. In the last month, we've got about the same number of views on YouTube as we did for 12 months in 2023. We'll talk to you more about that tomorrow night, about the growth, where we've been, where we're going. And we'll catch you here live from 9 p.m. We'll see you then. Hey.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while
Nothing else to really add. Whānau, anything from you two to wrap up with?
No, nothing specific.
All right. Well, we'll catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m, team. We'll give you all the update as to what's happening through the summer period. I do believe we're only taking 11 shows off, 11 shows in total. So, and then the Friday night kids will come in and take over for a week, and then me and Cheryl will be back. But we'll give you all the lowdown tomorrow night as we go 7 Sleep Still Santa. So tomorrow it'll be 6 Sleep Still Santa. And that's about it from us. All right, team. All the best. Catch you tomorrow. Be safe. Hooroo.
Cheers, man.